Tonight we got on Patrice Badami here to tell us how she's advocating for special needs and all about acorns a tree. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Talking Junk.
I'm your host, Jason Melendez.
Live now every week on Fridays.
Talking Junk.
A multitude of professionals in different aspects, different walks of life.
You have to come on and talk junk like a normal person.
Welcome to Talking Junk, the podcast that comes to you live every Friday night from Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. How's everybody doing tonight out there in Junker land? We have a great guest for you tonight, as you heard on the intro. So let me just bring her out tonight. Patrice, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Where are you calling in from tonight?
I'm in New York. I'm in Rockland County.
Yeah, I can hear that accent. I'm a Bronx boy myself.
Okay, cool.
Not in the Bronx anymore. I'm out here in Florida right now.
Oh, all right.
So why don't you fill us in a little bit about your journey to advocating for special needs?
Okay. So it goes back to when I was working in publishing, and I was editing a book on autism. And I don't know, something about that book stayed with me. And then fast forward around 8 years, and I had my son. At age 20 months, he started exhibiting some of the behaviors that they call them perseverations of children with autism. So I had him checked out, and he had early intervention. I got him classified right out of the Bronx, Albert Einstein, medical facility. I had Isabel Rappin, who was one of the people who coined on the autism spectrum. So I got her. She validated my concerns, and he was on the spectrum. I ended up getting him early intervention, and fast forward, he just graduated Dean's List from college. So having said that, he was the inspiration. I was literally going to be an occupational therapist. Then he got diagnosed, and I backpedaled. I said, hey, let me go get my master's in special education so I can advocate for him. And that's what I did. So, it's been a long journey.
All right. Well, let's backpedal a little bit more into how you began that journey with that book. What was that book you were helping to write? Okay.
So the book was, I was working for Elsevier Science Publishing, and they had a book on autism. And I was actually editing it. I wasn't actually writing it. However, what's funny about that is I'm writing a book right now, how to advocate for your child with special needs and navigate Committee on Special Education meetings. So I'm writing a book for that, and then I'll let you know when that's finished, and I'll send you a link on it. But yeah, so that's how it all just worked. I don't know, somehow one thing led to the other, and some force had me work on that book because I remembered stuff from it. And
was
it
there
helped
something
me.
Specific from the book that kind of drew you in?
Absolutely. So one of the first things that parents will notice with their child is perseverations or behaviors that are typical of children on the spectrum. Some of them include flapping the arms like this, covering the ears. Sometimes they do this. They line things up. That's another thing. They overstuff their mouths when they're eating. They don't have that sense of knowing to stop putting the food in the mouth, and high threshold for pain, repetitious behavior. So anyway, these are some of the things that I noticed when he was little. And I said, that's when I got him diagnosed. So that's how I knew. And
after you got him diagnosed, that's when the real work began.
Yeah. So I guess what I would like to say is the following. There's a lot of people, everyone's affected by special needs in the sense that there's celebrities, there's athletes, there's people who are not of those, they're not celebrities or athletes. It affects anyone, and anything could happen at any time. It doesn't mean that you don't always have to have a genetic piece. It could just be developmental, that this happens. In other words, they're born with it. But the most important thing is every parent should learn about it once they have the diagnosis. There's a lot of hope. There's a lot of out there. There's a lot to help them. And if you just get the early intervention in, usually you're on the path where you need to be. So.
Now, how hard was it back then to get him even diagnosed?
It was, well, you know what it was? Nowadays it's a little bit different. He had I like to call him old school doctor who actually sent me to a specialist. He said, go here, get this done, do it now. He was a wonderful doctor. Nowadays, sometimes there's kind of a crossover between the local pediatrician and the school district, and they want to be careful about saying too much. So a lot of times you have to go with your gut instinct, and then if you request the early intervention, they get the school district to send their facilitators to your home, and then they have the child tested. But that's only the first piece of it.
Now, what are some of these tests that they put these children through?
Okay, so some of the things that they do, they are like, if they're going to be tested to validate a need for early intervention, number one, if it's a preemie, generally they just give it to them automatically because they want to make sure that they get the child situated ahead of time. Because if you do early intervention, you can help make a lot of changes with the child. And then by the time they get to school age, they could be aging out of early intervention. They might not need it. Okay, so here's the testing that they do. They do occupational therapy, which is fine motor, holding pens, holding paintbrushes, cutting with scissors. They do fine motor evaluation, OT. They do PT, which is gross motor. That's coordination, walking, being able to balance, skip, throw. These are some of the things. There's speech therapy, which I want to share with you the following. Speech therapy isn't just validating if they can physically form or articulate letters and sounds. It also tests for them for expressive, being able to speak and say certain things, being able to understand, and being able to respond back is called receptive, whether they're able to process the information coming in. But a very important thing, especially with preemies, is swallowing and feeding. That's a separate, it's sometimes outside of the speech person, or sometimes the speech person, if they have an oral motor background, they will do the feeding. Feeding is very important. This is an interesting thing I found out. Now, my daughter is 6. She had early intervention. I noticed that she's been choking a little bit, and she's actually having problems swallowing now. So she does a reverse swallow, which means she has to go very slow and she's not using the right muscles in the throat. So that's another thing you should get evaluated. So again, OT, PT, speech / feeding. They also do academic testing to see, and that'll include processing as well, understanding. So they'll give you, have this done, but you need to also educate yourself, because a lot of times it's talking junk. I'm going to give it to you straight.
Yeah, you can.
I'm going to give it to you straight.
You need to.
Okay, I'm going to give it to you.
Very vulgar, you can. So,
well, I'm not going to do that. No, what I am going to say is, listen, don't assume the school district is going to give you what you need. I also worked as a special ed teacher for all these years, and I've seen children fall between the cracks because they let the school district figure it out. Nope. Right. Nope, because they will give you the least. They will give you the least amount of services. They will how shall I say this? They will give you the oil. That's an Italian expression. That means they'll give you a snow job, if you will. They'll tell you, "Oh, what a beautiful child. Oh, he's so sweet. He's so..." Now, you get past all that and you say, "Listen, this is what I think he needs." Also, when they go to these committee on special education meetings, they should bring a wonderful picture of the child, because when these educators, when these people in the school district see the face, they'll know that you're being serious about it. And you need to also, I'm going to tell you straight again, don't have an advocate in there with you that you haven't met and worked with personally. Usually they're being under the table. They're being commissioned under the table where they get special help for their children. Basically, they're in bed with the school district. So watch yourself.
Okay. So
don't
how do you
allow
find
it.
An advocate for yourself?
I was lucky enough to find someone here. She's retired now, but I found someone just through the pediatrician, old school back then. Nowadays, though, her pediatrician for my daughter, who's 5, I didn't get a straight answer, to be honest. I don't think they want to get involved anymore. It's very different. I have a 23-year-old and I have a 5 and I have a 25-year-old. So I've seen how this has operated, how now you have to be very careful. And here's what I'm going to tell you. What do I want you to do? You come to me, you say, I need help. I'll say, okay, fine. You can get the school district to do their little testing. You need to get an outside independent eval from a speech. It's depending on what the child's needs, speech, OT, and then there's a neuropsych. Okay, a neuropsych
do
is
most
very important.
health insurances pay for these tests?
You have to find out. You have to find out. With my daughter, she's getting occupational therapy and she's getting speech, both of which are going through the insurance.
How does this hold up with state insurance?
That's what I have. I have
Okay.
state insurance. I have it. So you just have to find providers. And you know what? Some of these insurance companies are terrific. You call up, you're very nice. You say, listen, my child, I don't know what it is, but when you're very sweet to them, they'll help you do anything you want. Listen, please tell me the providers in my area for this and that. It's for my little girl. They'll help you. I've never had a problem. So do that first because, it's expensive. Now, if you can't get a neuropsych, sometimes neuropsychologists won't. They won't take insurance. That's okay. You get the OT speech. You get the psychological. You can have your neurologist do some testing, and then with all of that, you'll be able to have, if you will, enough ammunition to go sit there and advocate for your child appropriately. Okay, and if you make a demand, you get some of the neurologists who are under the insurance. They'll tell you, I want the child to have this, 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 and this. So you get all your independent evals together, you get the information, and then that's when you go to the school district. You have information, and that's the most powerful thing. And then you tell them, no, I'm not doing it once a week. I want speech twice a week with other peers and once a week separate. And also, last thing I want to tell you, you want your services as a pull out. A pull out is when they take the child to a separate location, separate room. You don't want to push in for 2 reasons. A push in, the child's going to get distracted. They'll be in the back of the room at a table when all of their peers are hanging out and just talking, and then they'll be looking at them. They'll feel self-conscious. And a lot of schools, they'll try to say to you, oh, yeah, we'll do a push in. Nope, you want to pull out. So having said that, that's what I would say about all of this is that
Now,
you
what
need
is
to
the difference between a push in and a pull out? I'm sorry, I don't mean to.
No, that's okay. It's okay. So a push in is a push into a classroom. So you have your kindergarten classroom. The class is doing work in the front of the room.
Uh-huh.
They have a table in the back. The specialist, it could either be speech or occupational therapy. They'll be sitting with your child in the back. So the child has no privacy. The child can get distracted and look at the other class. The other classmates might be looking over at the table. I've seen it. And the child does not get out of the session what they need. It's a half-hour session. So you ask for an outside, they pull out of the classroom into a quiet room so the child gets the service appropriately. It's very important.
My granddaughter is 3 years old and she doesn't eat or talk. My granddaughter gets speech therapy. She was receiving birth to 3, but now she goes to school. We are seeking a little extra help at home when she isn't at school.
Okay, I can answer that question. So concerning the little 3-year-old, so once they turn 3 at early intervention, they give them all the services, and once they turn 3, they stop the services, and you need to get these independent evals. So for that child, I would seek getting and again, go through the insurance, get a speech eval, and make sure you get the feeding eval as well. And that would be an oral facial specialist. Get that done. Have your pediatrician validate it, and maybe a neurologist, if you're working with neurologists, get them to validate it, and then you go back to the school district. If there's any discrepancies in other areas, such as the walking or the tummy time is not happening, that's a lot of times that's developmental. It all goes together, the pieces.
I do think she walks.
Oh, she does walk? Okay, so then still get the speech eval and then see if they will provide her with that. Some school districts will give you services, even if it's just one service. So have a neurologist check the child from A to Z, make sure there isn't any other areas of weakness, and because there could be an education piece. You don't know, you never know. Then go back to the school district. I want to reevaluate it, please. And then they might even be able to get you help at home based on the needs.
Now, is it, she said thank you.
Oh, that you're welcome.
Is it uncommon for people not to know about these advocates and more help that they have out there for them? Because I know a lot of people tend to look to do things on their own more than get the help, and I'm wondering if it's because the help is harder to find.
It is hard to find. It is hard to find. For me, because I have the degree in special ed and elementary ed, I do advocate for families, but not in my school district. I can't do that. It's a conflict. But right now, I'm working independently on Acorn. I'm not working in the school district now, but I used to help people in other towns, and in Westchester, which is on the other side of the bridge, I used to help someone there. So the point is that I know it's going to sound repetitious. The first place, if you have a pediatrician who gets involved and it's not just yesing you, that's the first place. Second place, get a neurologist, because the neurologist is the MD who will do a full scale. He'll look at her. He'll see how she's swallowing, and they will recommend to you who you need to go to next. They'll tell you, okay, you know what? They'll say to you, I want you to go to this person. They specialize in feeding. They'll know. You just have to ask them. So if you have no other way of doing it, that's one way to do it, is to have them, because you can't just read a book. Just like a diet, the book doesn't take your child into consideration, and it might just frustrate you and send you off. You'll be so confused. So you need to get guidance from an MD. That's my take on it. If you can't get someone locally who can advocate for you, and then they'll go from there.
Now, Acorn and Tree, when did you start that, and what is that all about?
Yeah. So, okay. As we all know, we just got through this COVID thing. When COVID first hit, my daughter was in preschool, and I said to myself, I was looking for stuff on the computer for her all the time, and she had to keep sitting there waiting for me. So I said, let me just put all this stuff together. I'll have stuff for food, stuff for math, stuff spelling, preschool. So I did a bunch of different things, and I made this website for myself on Wix. I said, let me just do this so I can get on there. And then some people were like, wait, you should show that to other people. I'm like, who cares? So then it just expanded. All my teachers, friends, and everyone said, fix this thing up, add more stuff to it, and go ahead with it, move forward. So right now it's being developed in the Philippines, and we're almost ready to launch it. I mean, it's technically live. It's just I want to make some changes on it. I made it for my daughter. And I included everything from elementary ed, preschool, pregnancy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech. These are all free resources. And then I review products and books and toys that I think are very helpful for families. So and it has a podcast on there too. So
okay.
Yeah.
So you've been pretty busy.
Yeah.
Now the book that you're writing, is it going to kind of tie closely into Acorn and Tree?
Yeah, I'm trying. I have 3 mock-ups of 3 different things. The first one is how to advocate for your special needs child and navigate Committee on Special Education meetings. Basically, how to navigate dealing with the school district. It's pretty much what that book is about. Then I was going to have a preemie book, what to expect when you bring your preemie home. And then the third one is how to help your child who's on the autism spectrum. Those are
so
the
you
3
have
books.
all 3 of these books in development right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How do you make time for everything?
I'm kind of hyper. I have a little bit of ADD myself, I think. But
so do I, so I understand. I understand.
Yep. So I'm hoping to help a lot of people, reach out to them, validate them, and give them a little direction as far as what I've experienced. I think the most important thing is that if I was to leave you with one main thought, I would say, when you have your concerns, just take a deep breath. You're halfway there. The fact that you're validating your child and you're able to look at Sunshine wrote I didn't write the book yet. It's not finished.
she's writing them now.
Yeah, I'm writing them now, but I'll send you the information as soon as it's on. But what I'm saying is the most important thing is take a deep breath. Number one, if you did the early intervention, that's terrific, because once you do that, they can't really dispute it. They cannot dispute it. They can't say, oh, if there was an early intervention to begin with, you're already on your path. And if you are accepting and you are understanding and you just want to get help, that's the most important thing, because a lot of parents, they're kind of in denial of it, and that is a disservice to the child.
Well, for those parents who are in denial, or maybe for some of those who may not know the signs or may have just tuned in and don't know the signs that you gave, would you be able to run down the
Absolutely.
What did you call them? You called them
developmental perseverations.
Perseverations, yeah.
Okay,
I
so
wrote that one down.
Okay, so the term perseverations, that actually refers to behaviors. So that is a term I've used when I've worked with children who are nonverbal with autism. So those are different behaviors that are self-soothing in some cases, and in other cases, it's just something they do as a response to their environment. But when it comes to issues with children in general, that would fall under the term developmental issues. In other words, things they're born with. And so having said that, I'm going to give you some of the perseverations and also physical limitations I've noticed with my children. So there was an occupational therapy issue with both kids. They both had coordination issues, if you will. Then my daughter was not able to roll over until she was 18 months old, and she was not able to walk till she was 2 years old. So, but we got her the early intervention. But one thing about it is when they say your child aged out, I want you to dig deeper, because if that child did have a discrepancy in one area, there might be stuff underlying that you're not going to notice until they hit kindergarten, first grade, and that's when they could start lagging behind. So you need to get a full-scale check on your child, because your neurologist will catch a lot of this, and a child psychologist can give their child the tests. Again, check the insurance, but they'll be able to give you the academic test to tell you if your child has processing problems. Processing is when information comes into you, and that's receptive, grabbing the information someone says and understanding it, and then spitting out your response in expressive language. You want to make sure your child is moving and they're strong physically. And then the hands, you want to make sure they're able to have very strong hands by doing things with putty, very hard putty, having them cut, having them hold pencils. There's a lot of different things. You can look it up on my website. You'll see there's a lot of occupational therapy stuff on there. Obviously, we talked about feeding, and those are the areas that you need to just focus on. Are they learning their letters and numbers according to preschool? Do they struggle with it a little bit? Are they turning their letters? That's dysgraphia is math, and then dyslexia is the numbers if they're writing everything backwards. These are things you can look for. And then on my website, I want you to check it out. There's a lot of different information under special education.
My internet's acting up a little bit today.
Oh, is it? Oh,
it is.
Oh.
But that was me trying to share your page there. Your
website.
Okay.
Okay. Well, it's you know what it is? It's pretty easy. It's acorntotree.com. It's up. There's some things I want to change on it, but the resources are there. You'll see the resources. We're going to add some more. And I think that's the main thing I want them to go to the site for, is to check out the resources. I also review books and toys that I think are helpful. But the main thing is the resources.
A lot of sensory toys?
I'm starting to get some sensory toys this week, and I'm looking and evaluating those for my daughter, because she's got the fine motor issues. But the main thing is I want them to look not even at the stuff that I'm reviewing. I want them to enjoy the resources. There's a lot of stuff that's helpful.
Now, what advice can you give some of the parents out there that are having trouble communicating with their nonverbal child?
Okay. Okay, terrific. Actually, I have something on the site about that too. So here's what I want you to do. And I did this for, believe it or not, a lot of kids in my class, but also my grandmother who had a stroke and she wasn't able to speak. So you can find pictures. You can use any kind of pictures. You can use, depending on the child, like a picture of a bottle of glue, for example. You can have a cartoon of it, or you can get an actual picture. There's a lot of autism sites that offer common object pictures. And you know what? You can actually make them yourself. You can get magazines or whatever, and you can Another thing is Teachers Pay Teachers have a lot of autism things on there. I started making one, but I didn't finish it. There's a lot of, just take pictures of little items.
Well, I can understand why you got a lot of things you're juggling.
Right.
3 books. Wow.
But what I was going to say is I want them to get a chart. They're going to make a schedule for the child. They need to have reassurance if they're nonverbal with autism, or even if they're nonverbal and they have other issues. Make schedules for the child where it's laminated. You have a picture of a toothbrush that tells them they have to brush their teeth. Then they move it over into the starred or happy face area. Then you do stuff with eating, taking a bath, using the potty, washing hands. Make it very, very simple based on your child, and you can even draw it. But the main thing is your child needs to be involved with it. Have them move the piece over. Even if it's just you draw the pictures out of the different things they do during the day and leave it on the counter. And when they finish, they put it in a jar. It doesn't matter how you do it, but give them control over what's going on so that they feel validated and they to tell you, I know what I need to do with the brushing the teeth. Then they can get the confidence. And once you get the confidence in that child, they will be receptive to learning more and looking to you for guidance.
Now, would you say really patience is key and repetition is success?
Yeah, I think the bottom line is I want you to picture you're in a bubble and you're not able, like before we were working with the website and my thing wasn't working. I couldn't hear you. I want you to picture that your child hears you, but they can't respond. They see you. So you use actions and you use picture, like it's called picture scheduling. That's where you create a schedule for your child that's pictures that shows them what exactly we're doing today. And you can have, say you're going to the zoo, have a picture of the zoo at the bottom. They're working towards getting to the zoo. And then I also have tacting information on my site where you have television at the bottom and they have to do all their tasks before they get there. That's something that a lot of the classrooms have for children who are nonverbal with autism. You can reinforce that at home.
Are there any other tips or tricks that you can give parents out there that may be struggling?
Yes, I would say, like I said before, if you are accepting that your child needs help and you are there to support them, there's a lot of resources that will be helpful. For concerning autism, a book that I found helpful is the Autism Source Book. And there's also Always Autism Speaks. And I'm going to continue adding. Whenever I find any helpful websites for families, I'm going to keep adding stuff. So what you see on the website under special ed, under autism, I have a separate section for autism. That's where I'm going to be adding more resources to help children with different developmental issues. So I think what I would say is I'd say feel good about the fact that you're already understanding and you know there's a problem. That's get that guilt off your chest, because for you to admit that and to get to feel like, I know my child needs something, that's half the battle. You'll be able to get some more affirmation from your pediatrician or your neurologist or your pediatric psychologist. They'll validate, then they'll write the IEP for you. An IEP is an individual education plan. That's where it comes up with different things that your child needs, such as speech, or they need to be tested in a room by themselves, extended time, a scribe. They might need a one-on-one teacher to help them if they're in a wheelchair. They might need auditory device to help them to block out extraneous noise. There's a lot of different services that they're entitled to, and you can get them once you get validated. And then you walk into that meeting with all your papers in tow and all your specialists. They'll give you evaluations, and this is going to help you. I've yet to meet a school district that'll just give you whatever you want. Honestly, here's the talking junk part again. They're hoping you trust them. They're hoping you're not going to fight them. They're not going to give you what you need for your child necessarily. They're going to try to talk you out of it by saying things like, oh, they're doing so well, I don't think they need that anymore. Nope. Keep everything intact. Keep that IEP together. And did you know that that'll follow that child for the rest of their educational life? If that child goes on to get their PhD later on, it's a document. It's a legal document. Those accommodations must be, they have to be adhered to by that university. Even if they continue and they're 40, 45, those accommodations are required by law to be followed. And that's very important. And also another thing quickly, don't assume they're going to put your child in the correct classroom, because you need to get the IEPs of every child. This is a New York State thing. I don't know about other states. I'm just telling you New York State. I know that you're entitled to the IEP of every child. They block out the child's name for privacy and their private information, but you need to know the classification of every child that is in the classroom where you're going to be placing your child. Because if you have children who are behavioral issues and you have a child with just learning disabilities, they're going to copy that behavior. You want them to have a peer model, children who are typically developing, and they can have a peer model depending on your child. So you need to know what type of children are in the classroom so that it's the right placement. And they'll put your child wherever if you don't say, I want this or that. Visit the classrooms. The child I advocated for in Westchester County, they almost put her somewhere. And I was like, that's not going to happen. She's not going there. She's going to go over here. I checked out all the classrooms for her. So you need to know, because they'll put that child in a classroom that might not be the right fit. So,
how do you get to check out the classrooms beforehand?
Okay, what I did was, well, you're entitled to it. People don't know this. I don't know why they don't know this. But I said to them, oh, yeah, we need to check those classes out. And I went with my friend, and I was able to determine, because I've worked as a special ed teacher. You want to look around. You want to see the state of the classroom. You want to look at the teachers. You want to go early in the morning, because when you go in the morning, that's when they're high energy. And I went to a class early in the morning. They were all exhausted. All the teachers and the TAs they just looked uninterested. The classroom was a mess. This is very important for you to check out, and you're entitled to it. They can't say no. That's where you're going to be putting your child. Don't be intimidated by the school district. Stand up for yourself. You have every right. What do you think you're paying taxes for? Come on. You got to do it.
Did you ever think about taking this to the next level and maybe starting your own nonprofit and going nationwide?
I know people ask me that all the time. Wow. Well, the truth is that I am a single mom. I'm a single mom. I got 3 kids. So it's a little tough, but I did think about how I could create like a network of people who have to go through a certain training kind of thing. I've thought of that, because there's people who you want someone who's an open-minded. They're not under the wing of the school district. That's why I said you don't want a parent advocate. Don't have them get them out. As a matter of fact, when I had a meeting for my son, there was a parent advocate, and she says, I really think you should listen to what the school district, because they help my son. I said, I would like to talk to you outside for a minute. She didn't come back in the room. She didn't come back in. I wasn't fresh to her. I just said, I'd like you to step out now.
Well, when a New Yorker says, I'd like to talk to you outside for a minute, I kind of know what
it's true. An Italian at that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, no. So the bottom line is that you don't want any advocates that they put in there, because they're just there to make noise. That's not helpful. I don't care if this is, again, talking junk. I'm just saying it plain. You want to have your own advocate that you've seen, spoken to, who cares about your child. And let me tell you, there's a lot of advocates out there that will charge you a lot of money. I don't charge anybody anything. I go, get over here. Let me help you. I said, let me see what this child needs. Go for the ones that aren't asking for any money, because those are the true people who are going to stick up for your child.
Right. Those are the ones that got your best interest at heart.
Absolutely. But that is a good idea. I would actually look into it. I'm going to think about that once the site's up and doing well. I would do it. I really would. I would like to be able to help a lot of people. That's the most important thing. So.
Where did we go? Are you there?
Hello? I'm here, but you froze. Your thing froze.
I froze. All right. Yeah. Are we good now? Are we still good?
Yeah, you're like robotic a little bit, but we're good.
Yeah, it's Florida. Sometimes that happens.
Oh, all right.
And I'm wired, so I don't understand. But I've actually been thinking about taking this Talking Junk thing on the road and doing some live forums of different topics, and having some professionals from my old shows chime in on some of these subjects. Would you be interested in something like that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Sure. I would love to do it. Like I said, I'd love to be able to help a lot of people. It's just I'm the one person. So I got to try to figure out how I could reach more people and help them.
that's where the network comes in. So
True.
we'll be talking and doing a lot of potential business in the future.
Okay. And I will make sure I send you in the email the information, some of my show notes, and I have the books, the resources, and once those books are done, I'll send you the information on that.
Definitely. Well, once those books are done, we'd like to have you back on.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Most definitely. That way we can get this information back out there. I have a lot of viewers and listeners because we don't only go live. These podcasts, which I have a lot of missed opportunity to put a couple of these episodes where they should be. I'm a couple of weeks late, but these go on the podcast sites, all of them, every single streaming podcast site. So on top of being on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter every week, they go up on the Google Podcast, the iHeartRadio, the Spotify, the Apple Podcast. So this will reach many of listeners.
Okay, well, that's good because honestly, you know what? I'm blessed because my daughter's good. She's a little bit weak, but she's okay. She's working hard, and my son just graduated. So I want to be able to help people who are frightened, who are concerned, and who really just don't know what to do next. Right. So I want to be able to do that and help people.
And so do we. And what better way than to put our channels together, our networking ability, and make this thing happen.
Right,
now,
right.
Before we let this very busy mother of three writing 3 books off the show, why don't we let them know where they can find you, all these good resources again, and how can we reach out?
Okay, yeah. So, definitely check out the acorntotree.com. And then what I'm going to do, I have there's a 4th book just for fun. I'm writing a book about birds too. I don't even know where that came. I have a parrot, whatever. I'm writing this book too. That one's finished. I'm trying to get them all up on Amazon. But it's tough. The hardest part isn't writing the book. The hardest part is navigating how to configure it to get it onto the Amazon. All these little things. It's hard.
How to publish it yourself, you mean?
Yeah, all those little steps. There's a lot more steps.
See? Well, now I'll go through my archives and I'll get you those connects.
Really?
This is why during podcasting, let me take a little second. You guys out there that want to get into podcasting, don't let all these sites and all these people kind of intimidate you by telling you need a niche. Because you don't need a niche. Your niche can just be good information or helping people. Right. Because week after week, we have different people on this show, different professionals, to give you the information that you need in life, whether it be for you or it be for the next person. This right here is where you can find it.
Right. Yeah. I know. The bottom line is that all that little fancy fixing the margins thing, I'm like, I could write lots and lots of stuff. It's just I'm trying to figure it out. Right. So anyway.
Hey, we'll get you there. Don't worry.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate your time. As we heard many a time on this show, you are a very, very busy woman.
Well, it's nice to be busy. What can I tell you? I'm happy that I can do it. So especially
in this day and age. But we will be in contact. I'm gonna try to expedite my my plans on these live shows and see if we can do something pretty soon.
Yeah, sure. Would it be in Florida or would it be in New York or where would it be if we ever did?
Well, I am not opposed if we can rent out venues and get these tickets sold.
Oh, that sounds terrific.
Anywhere, but if let's say I do one here in Florida, I don't mind having you remotely on if you can't make it out. So there's many ways to do this, and by God, we'll do it.
All right, that sounds like a great idea.
Thank you very much. I'm trying to get that copyright. Don't take my idea. No, I'm not talking to you, Patrice. I'm talking to those people out there in Take Your Idea land.
No, not good. Not good karma on that. No, it's not cool.
Not at all. You have a great night, Junkers. Stay tuned tomorrow night. We're going to be talking about Gilbert Gottfried in the break room. So come on through.
Okay.
Patrice, what you're doing is great, and we definitely want to have you back on. Make sure you go to acorntotree.com.